supposed to vote for when the Electoral College meets. So the goal here is to prevent the certification of the election so that then the legislature is then able to make the decision about the electors. Our state legislature is dominated by Republicans. As a matter of fact, they gained seats in this last election. And so it's potential that they could go and select their own electors. Now, there are a lot of legal folk out there saying that this can't be done. I'm not sure about this. But, the fact of the matter is, if there's not a certification by the date in December that everything has to be certified, it could very well become that problematic. And Pennsylvania's got one of the highest counts of electors. We have 20 electors in our state. So if they were able to jam up Georgia and jam up Michigan and Wisconsin, and actually yesterday they asked for a recount in Wisconsin just hours before the deadline. So this is all a mess.
Only in two places, though, and they transferred. They did a wire transfer. They, being the Trump campaign, is going to pay for it, $3 million. I mean, listen, this election is over. They're grasping at straws right now, and all the scenarios you just laid out certainly are within the remote realm of possibility. But if you really want to see the country get torn up, then go down that road. I mean, because at the end of the day, that's exactly what would happen. I mean, the fear. Well, I'm just saying the fear was that like white folk, if Trump lost, would just like come in and just start shooting everybody up. Which is, you ought to see the numbers of black people who have bought guns in the last 2 months. I mean, it's through the roof. And my feed and yours, of all of our groups of people who are going to the range and buying guns for their spouses and children. But I'm just saying, if you really want to see folk act a fool, it is to truly steal an election or to try. And I'm just saying that I think that is something that the folk who know better, even in those Republican circles, understand, which is like, look, the bleeding wasn't that bad. Even if the Senate ends up being a 50-50 draw, you come closer within the House. There's always next time. But nobody wants to go down that road, perhaps except Trump, which is, I think, what continues to make him this existential threat to democracy, and no longer really just existential. He's becoming a real threat to democracy. Little d, and I mean, it's like you're almost at a loss of words in this moment because we're still at that brink of that place.
I mean, I think the problem is like it's almost cult worship.
Almost.
I mean, I was actually thinking, like, when we were talking about Rudy, messing up in the court, I'm like, yeah, because he's drunk too much Kool-Aid. And for those that don't know, it's a reference to the followers of Jim Jones that went into Guyana with him. And when the authorities were actually realizing he was a cult and they were coming to go after him, he made everybody drink Kool-Aid that was laced with poison and wound up killing a massive amount of people. And I think that in this particular moment, like we have people who are blind followers of Donald Trump that are drinking the Kool-Aid that are really in some ways trying to take us towards civil war. At this point in time, there are enough states that have declared victory for Joe Biden that we should just be moving on at this point. But because they refuse, because they continue to support Trump, because they get all fired up, he has not conceded the election. He has not given the Biden administration the resources and the tools that they need to be able to put things in place. COVID numbers are going through the roof. There continues to be deep racial animus and tension. I was just down in D.C. I mentioned this the other day, down in D.C. this weekend when the Trump MAGA rally was going on because I had to go down there and handle some business. It is not a good situation and scene right now, and we need to stop him from continuing this nonsense. I wish that there was a way for the law to push back on all these frivolous lawsuits. I mean, one of the things that happened in that particular case was that, Giuliani wasn't presenting any evidence. There was no evidence for him to present. But at the end of it, this is what happened at the end of it, right? So at the end of it, the reporter asked Giuliani, so, will you all concede if he loses? And he's like, no, we'll just appeal to the next level. I mean, that's the plan, right? Just to keep appealing this thing, dragging it out as much as possible, preventing the certification from occurring.
Well, yeah, I mean, all right, Raphael, Wayne County is mired in corruption. Rudy might win there. I mean, seriously, I
I mean, but
don't
that's the
buy
same
that.
thing they're saying about Philadelphia.
That's exactly right. It's, well, because it's black, right?
Yes.
And so because it's black, it must be, riddled with corruption. And I mean, I'm not going to buy into that. There are too many people who are watching this election and don't believe for a moment that there was anywhere that Republicans were not present. Do you really think, given the way in which they're going after all of these predominantly black or these places with large black populations and the votes now, and dispatching millions of dollars for recounts, does anybody with a functioning brain think for one moment that they would have said, oh, did we remember to send watchers to Philadelphia? Right. The man said bad things happened in Philadelphia. Do you think that there was one moment? They were taking pictures of us. That's right. Turning our votes in the mail, trying to allege that people were putting in more than one ballot at a time. That was weeks ago. Who in the hell thinks that they allowed this to happen? Don't be crazy, people. Actually, it didn't happen.
There are Republican officials that are saying that this has been the most secure election that we have had in American history.
Of course, because both sides were watching like that.
That's right. Absolutely. It is the most secure election we've ever had.
Yeah.
Probably the one fraught with the least level of fraud as a result of this. It's absolutely insane what's happening right now.
Listen, the Republicans have to decide, do you want a victory for Trump, or do you want, I'm just saying, because if you think what happened in the wake of George Floyd's death this summer was something, you have not seen anything yet, because the country is already on edge. People are already having all this this pinned up energy and anger, and that would be the one to just like literally be the straw that breaks the camel's back. We got to take a quick break, and we come back. I think I figured out why Lil Wayne took that picture with Donald Trump endorsing him, and I don't believe it actually has anything to do with him thinking Trump would have been a good president. That's just my thought, but we'll tell you about that on the other side of the break. It's the Power Hour, brought to you this morning by Power Interfaith. Be right back.
Gangster rap.
Yeah, okay.
Man, this coronavirus has us all moving differently.
No doubt. Like washing our hands more and social distancing with the crew. I'm always telling people to give me 6 feet. We're here, Grandma.
There's my babies. Good to see you got your mask on.
Wear a mask. Stop the spread. For more information, visit www.pa.gov/COVID.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Seniors, does your doctor regularly reach out to check on you? Can you walk into your doctor's office and see them if you need to? Do you have your doctor's cell phone number, and can you call them anytime, day or night? At Dedicated Senior Medical Center, their only specialty is caring for seniors. Dedicated makes it easy to get the primary care you deserve. Doctors spend more time with patients than the doctors you may be used to. They offer telehealth visits, help you get your medications, and even make sure you get to your appointments. If your doctor isn't treating you like family, it's time to say yes to Dedicated Senior Medical Center. Call Dedicated Senior Medical Center today to schedule a visit and find out what you're missing. Call 267-443-1900. That's 267-443-1900. Appointments are available now.
He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time, Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight. This program is pre-recorded. No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURDradio.com.
The Word Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on Word Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the Word Radio newsletter. Now, a traffic update on Word Radio.
Good morning. Not a bad start here in Philadelphia. Southbound 95, Cottman through Bridge, a little slow through construction, late Allegheny through Girard. Northbound in pretty good shape. Westbound Vine Expressway, Lake Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Schuylkill westbound University through 30th Street. Delays there, building a bit through that construction. West of that, no other problems. At eastbound side, still late Montgomery through Girard. No problems on the PA Turnpike or the Blue Route 476, 42, 55, 295. Looking good with no major problems early on this morning. For more traffic information, log on to SIGAlert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Good morning and welcome back to the Power Hour. Mark Kelly Tyler and Dwayne David Royster. We're here Monday through Fridays from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to bring you the latest in news, happenings around the city of Philadelphia, and of course, our opinions. And we've started this morning talking about that great subject of America's mayor, Rudy Giuliani.
Trying to help America's president.
Oh, have mercy.
Remember when he came out of the hospital after he had COVID? And he did that first thing. This is after he ascended the stairway and like ripped the mask off and waved. The next day he went out and he did that infomercial.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to break into selling my pillow. He was like, he said, "Hi, you might remember me. It's your favorite president, Donald Trump." I'm like, dude, how can we forget? Please, guys, some of us can't sleep at night because we remember. Yeah, number 45. Trust me, it's a number that no self-respecting NFLer or NBAer is gonna ever want to wear.
Ever wear again.
Like, right? Hey, we got what number you want? Since there were all these trades last night, Danny Green, you coming to the Sixers? What number you want? We got 45. No, I'm good, man. Give me 0.
Oh, let me be 44.
No, everybody wants 44. He said, "No, bro, 44 goes to the person with the biggest contract. But we got 45. Nah, I'm good, coach. Put an X on there.
I'm a pass.
I'll be the no number." So listen. Oh my God! All right, one last comment about this. Raphael is on here saying, "Raphael, I hear you. Yes, there is a long." He's saying that this is not over by a long shot. Let me rephrase that.
I agree with him on that.
The only way Trump gets this is a long shot. So, of course, there is always a window until Joe Biden is inaugurated as the president. Remember, we had all these speculations when Barack Obama won in 2008, the angst that black folk had up until the moment he was inaugurated. They're going to pull some shenanigans. You remember, they were saying these exact same things. I'll take you back to 2008. Well, the electors don't actually have to vote for Obama. Yeah. We're hearing rumors that they're not going to actually vote for him. They're going to vote for McCain. It was literally the exact same thing in 2008. And what happened? Obama won. This is over, all right? The only person who doesn't know this, and Trump knows it, he's still angling for something.
Yeah. So but let me push you on this, though.
All right, hold on. Before you push, let me just say this. The only person, his followers don't know this because they're gullible like that. But what I'm saying is that Giuliani is the only attorney out there who has some kind of recognition. All of the legitimate attorneys have left because they don't want any of this sideshow. They have careers. But Giuliani has billable hours. Trump has money because of the gullible who keeps sending him money. He can use campaign money to pay his legal fees. As long as they're billable hours, Giuliani doesn't care. He is running the clock up, and he is desperate because he knows that in a few weeks, he won't have anybody else to bill as his number one client. And if you've ever had somebody who worked for you and they were billing you, they make you feel like you are the most important person in the world as long as you can write a check. And the moment you stop paying, you're like, so-and-so didn't call me today. It's because you don't have any more money. It is a relationship like that. So this ain't going anywhere.
Okay. All right.
Nowhere.
So let me just say, I hear you on that. I personally think that in many ways this is done. The process is not done. Right? It's sort of like you watching a basketball game, and I'm going to use a sports metaphor for sports that I really don't watch. But you're in the fourth quarter. You're going into the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. The score is 125 to 50, right? Because the one team got routed throughout this whole thing.
Right.
But you still got 15 minutes to play the game. But you know, there's really no way that anybody's going to make up that difference. But you still got to go through the process. And I think that that's part of what we're experiencing right now. But there's always a possibility that the other team could go on a 75-point spree if they get really hot.
Yeah, as if the other team just sits down on the bench and just lets them run up and down the court by themselves.
Well, I'm saying that, you know, there are factors here that, you know, and eventually Trump said from the beginning, this was his whole end game, which was to get the election to the Supreme Court, which he has stacked with his own people in there, so that there's a 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court. That is the challenge that he's dealing with.
What is the... There are over 300 electoral votes.
What I don't want people to do, this is what I don't want people to do. I don't want people to sit back and think this is over and that we don't have to remain vigilant and watching what's going on and being prepared to act if something should break out as a result of what's happening in this moment. That's all I'm saying.
Well, like I said, I think people are ready to break out if something happens in this moment, but it won't be controllable and it won't be controlled. And I think that's also something that the Republicans know, which is that you don't want the chaos that would ensue from this. So, I mean, people are watching. This is not like, you know, though you're not watching Biden do the same things out there ordering recounts in all kind of places, they're not going to waste their money. They're not going to, you know, put people through this. I mean,
right now.
Well, they don't. I mean, no, I'm just saying they've got campaign. If they wanted to mount challenges, right, they could do the same thing in conservative places. But why do it? If you're doing that, you're losing or you've already lost. I mean, you know, but I do want to say, though, speaking of Trump and the campaign, what's interesting is Lil Wayne, who came out seemingly out of nowhere at the end of the campaign season to endorse Donald Trump. I mean, you know, Ice Cube was one thing. 50 Cent was another. But it was like out of nowhere, Lil Wayne just popped up. It's like, dude, where you been? What is your take on all this? With the picture with Trump, with the thumbs up, didn't quite endorse, but did not endorse. The picture looked like he did. Well, turns out a year ago, Lil Wayne was flying from L.A. to Miami on his private jet, and he brought his Father's Day gift with him. Somebody tipped the feds off that Lil Wayne's plane had some contraband, illegal drugs, and his Father's Day gift on board. They searched the plane. And it's now taken a year for them to bring federal charges. I think he goes to court in December. And his Father's Day gift was a gold-plated handgun. Now, trouble is Lil Wayne has a felony conviction that prohibits him from carrying a handgun.
Yep.
And it happened back in 2009, which is another thing we need to talk about. I mean, should you lose your he already did time for that, right? I think he did 8 months in jail for it. So should you still be denied your Second Amendment right to carry a gun for the rest of your life? I think that's excessive, quite frankly. But that's not the issue. Right now, the issue is he's facing a federal gun charge and drug charges. And if convicted, faces 10 years in prison. And I think that may explain why he looked like a hostage standing next to Trump with that picture with his thumbs up.
He's trying to get on that pardon list.
Well, you got to get convicted first. You got to get convicted before January 20th.
Well, I don't know if that's going to happen. Shucks, Trump's trying to figure out how to pardon himself.
Well, he could ask for a speedy trial. You walk right in there and say, I confess to it all. I'm guilty. Guilty is sin, Your Honor. Yeah. My gun, my drugs, it's all bad. I did it all. And then, bam, get that magic pardon.
Yeah.
But that does explain a lot, because of all of the people who came out to endorse Trump that were black, that was the one that just, for me, just never really kind of made much sense. I was like, what's the play here? Everybody's always got an angle.
Well, I'm beginning to wonder now, like the other rappers. I mean, like they all got federal charges of some sort coming against them.
I think for Cube, in Cube's defense, though I disagree with him terribly, Cube has always been more of an idealist. And Cube has been great with his money. Cube has never gotten in trouble. I mean, he has literally been a model citizen, especially given where, you know, how he came up, where he came from, and the temptations that were surrounding him. Man, he avoided all of that stuff and just, you know, really, you know, did right by himself and his family and his community. I disagree again with where he's landed. But, man, this Lil Wayne thing.
Well, and Cube said he did not endorse Trump, right?
Well,
he said he was just meeting with him to have a conversation about plans for economic development in the black community. And it came across like he was endorsing him. He was just saying he's a businessman meeting with a businessman to talk about business.
Well, would you, so you facing 10, you got a dime, and you're not a young man anymore. You're now moving into your 40s. Lil Wayne is more like old Wayne or youngish Wayne. And you got like private jets. You got a whole different lifestyle now. And they tell you you got 10. Or you could come take a picture with the president with thumbs up. You be up there thumbs up? You be like both thumbs up? Like, is this high enough?
Big old cheesy grin on the face. Might even put an orange wig on just to go out there and hang out with him, right?
So you'd be like, bring Mike Pence in here too. Wait, let's get our wives together. Can I use it as a Christmas card? Lil Wayne said, I know y'all gonna all hate me for this, but you'll understand it better by and by.
There you go.
Lil Wayne, he didn't win, so thank God that didn't happen. But, man, you treading on thin ice, and I got to say, you know, I can't be mad at a brother facing 10. Nick O'Rourke said he got 2 thumbs up right now on Facebook Live. What about you all on Facebook? Thumbs down or thumbs up? What's up? Tell us where you are. Would you be thumbs up or thumbs down? So that Lil Wayne. One other really funny story that's out there, if you don't mind, but it's a serious story, but it's funny. There may be a new candidate for governor in Texas.
I did not hear about this.
On the Democratic side.
Okay, who's that?
Oh, really? This is news to you. All right, okay. I feel good because, you know, you always like, you know, political stuff. I can't ever surprise you. So.
Sports you always do, but, you know.
So it's actually one of my favorite actors.
Okay.
So his movies are great. His commercials suck. Who's that sound like? Great actor, but his commercials are the absolute worst. And when they turn them on, you want to break your TV.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
He does the commercials for Lincoln for the Lincoln brand.
Oh man, you talking about Matthew McConaughey?
Yes.
That's interesting.
He's talking about running for governor in Texas. He's considering.
Really?
Yeah, he's considering a run. And so Greg Abbott is up in 2022. That would be compelling. I think, you know, given Texas's numbers, you saw what Beto O'Rourke did, really pushed Ted Cruz. Up until late, you know, counting the votes, we were really thinking Texas might flip blue like Georgia, then it pulled away. But it is like Georgia, it's one of those states that's beginning to change. And a candidate like Matthew McConaughey, now, people don't know his politics because he's been pretty quiet. But let's be honest, whenever you introduce star power, you know, Ronald Reagan, I mean, a lot of us, our generation, we didn't remember, we learned this much later, but Reagan had become endeared to even our parents' and grandparents' generation as an actor first, in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, and they couldn't shake their love for Ronald Reagan, and it meshed with him becoming president with these horrible policies. But Matthew McConaughey may actually run and would stand a good chance. Now, the only problem is, man, these would be the worst campaign commercials ever. He'd be riding through Texas by himself, Lone Star State, in a Lincoln. You know, sometimes I just drive late at night through the Lone Star State, and I think about policies like a living wage. And then I wonder, did I really remember my line in that movie? Wait, back to the Lone Star State. Just like, say about that on the range. Oh my God.
That would actually be a very interesting race, and it looks like Raphael's also mentioned that Dwayne Johnson was talking about running for president too. So, and he actually might win. We might have a second black male president or a Samoan president.
Now we know what The Rock is cooking. Oh, wait. So speaking of that, so hey, Raphael, since you posted that, is Dwayne Rock Johnson black? I'm going to give you a second to catch up to us because Facebook runs behind our feed here. Is Dwayne Johnson black? Since you're always telling me Kamala is not black. What about The Rock? Is The Rock black? Or is he like Vin Diesel? What's his name? I don't know what he is. Think he's parked car, right? But yeah, so all these celebrities now jumping in. And honestly, when you think about also the impact of a Trump presidency, all right, Sheila, I'm sorry.
You can see Tawanda's comment. Said that's different than the Jamaican Boston. You got a new accent.
Sheila told me don't get Raphael started. Here comes a dissertation on The Rock. But real quick, one thing that the Trump presidency has done, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, depends on what happens, is, I mean, he's made it where literally we have dropped the bar so low that anybody can become president, right? And, you know, and you do have to believe a part of this is that reaction to, again, I keep going back to Obama, because Obama traumatized a lot of white people. At least half the people in this country. Obama's presidency traumatized them for no other reason than a black man ain't supposed to have that. And in their mind then, well, if Obama can have it, anybody can do the job. What we've just seen after 4 years, 250,000 COVID deaths later, millions of Americans infected, the economy in a tank, and you can't even go home and hug your mama and your daddy, that anybody can't do this job. Give Obama the credit for the genius that he was. He was not perfect, but he was absolutely more than a lot of you want to give him credit for being. But it lowered the bar in the minds of people because he's black, and they just gave it to Trump. And again, I just fear that people will start giving it to anybody who just, I mean, you know, this is a very weighty responsibility. And one of the most important things the president has to do, because nobody knows everything, is to be able to put good people around them.
Well, that's the real key about being president of the United States, right? It is your capacity to bring people in who are smarter than you on issues that you do not understand, and that you can trust their leadership to lead you in that particular realm.
Yeah.
That's what makes for good leadership. I mean, look, we've had some presidents that weren't terribly bright. You know, George W. Bush. You know, could you imagine
nuclear? It's a nuclear war.
Could you imagine what would happen if Dan Quayle had become president of the United States? So, I mean, we've had some really smart folk as well, some really brilliant people, but then we've also had some folk that were just not, you know, the sharpest tools in the tool chest that would have gotten elected. And I mean, you know, as my mother says to me, as my mother said to me not too long ago, we're not even sure Trump can read. So it was like,
there have been some tools in the shed as president. We have to take a break. We're a minute over. Kuwaisa has been nice. Oh, and here we go. Raphael, you're talking about Kamala. I'm asking you about The Rock. Is Dwayne The Rock Johnson black enough for you? We'll be right back on the other side of the break with Raphael's answer. It's the Power Hour with Raphael.
Hey, WURD family. Our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days employment. Call 856-754-0355 or visit amorososbaking.com for details.
Tune in Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. to hear Empire Capital and Consulting founder Mark Palmer's show titled Black Money, Black Power. This show centers around black money and how black power is derived from money. Tune in every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Black Money, Black Power, hosted by Mark Palmer. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Intelligence plus character That is the goal of true education. For all young people to succeed in Philadelphia public schools, they need adequate resources and materials. But not all students have the same access and opportunities they deserve. As Philadelphia public schools continue to operate with remote learning, we at WURD Radio want to do our part to help students have the resources they need to be successful. Please join us and our community partners, Global Citizen and the Cayuga Elementary School, by donating supplies online so students have the same supplies we would want for our own children. Go to globalcitizen365.org to make an online contribution of supplies.
WURD Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Halana, your resident health and wellness coach, with tips to help you stay well. Many of us have heard this term before, but may not know what it really means. Compassionate living brings mindfulness and peace to the center of your daily life. Compassionate living can look like this. Number 1, be gentle with yourself and those around you. Number 2, choose to speak kindly to others, even when you're upset. Number 3, become a good listener and practice empathy at home and at work. We sometimes think in order to live with compassion, we have to become someone else. Not so. In fact, allowing peacefulness to be at the center of our daily interactions is something we can practice every day. Go ahead and try it today. Stay well with WURD. Happy living.
Stay well with WURD. Connect with us at WURDradio.com.
I ain't no better than you, and you ain't no better than me. But we all have something in common. We all are in species, seeds of God's creation.
Tune in to Messages in the Music every Friday night with Joey T, midnight to 6 a.m. right here on WURD.
Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by CVS. Some volume here in Philadelphia. A bit heavy. Schuylkill Expressway westbound, getting James University Avenue through the Vine Expressway through construction. Eastbound side not bad. Westbound Vine Expressway delays 8th out the Broadway Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Southbound 95 Cotman through Bridge. Heavy delays again. Betsy Ross through Girard. Northbound side, no major problems there as of yet. PA Turnpike Bluebird 476, still a pretty good ride. 55 northbound Deptford into 42. You're slowing there. CVS pharmacists have a proprietary search tool that analyzes ways to help lower your prescription costs. Come in or call today to get a free prescription savings review at CVS. Savings vary. Not all patients eligible for savings. Ask pharmacists for details. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. I'm Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. This is Dwayne Royster along with Mark Kelly Tyler. We are here Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to bring you the latest in news, happenings across Philadelphia, and, of course, our opinions. Picking up where we left off, your man, Raphael. I don't know why you got him started, right? So, wait a minute. Raphael said, now, there was a later comment, but then there was an earlier comment where he said that The Rock is married to a white woman. He doesn't claim to be black. He says he's Samoan mixed with black. Okay, let me just understand this. So, okay, one of the other quasi-non-sport sports that I follow used to be professional wrestling. So, Rock is actually Dwayne Johnson, whose father was Rocky Johnson, who was an African-American professional wrestler.
He was black.
He was black. He was straight up black. He was American black. And then his mother was a Samoan woman. So that his dad is actually African-American. So his dad was on the road most of the time when he was a kid, running around. He was, doing wrestling thing. He identifies with his mother's Samoan culture, but is black. Who you marry does not determine what race you are. So he is black and Samoan, and he's got ties to being American black, like ancestors of slave black. So we just need to, the descendant of slave black. So we just need to say that.
So he's half ADOS.
He's half ADOS, yes.
All right, so, but Raphael, just say that. You know what? Because I got him in a box now. Yep. I see. I mean, because he's been like beating up on Kamala all this time.
Absolutely.
In America, it was said early on in this country's history that if you have a drop,
16,
a drop of black blood, you are black. So by American rules, Kamala Harris has more than a drop and therefore is very, very black. They didn't say where you were born or where your parents were born, because a black person in Jamaica is just as black as a black person in Liberia, who's just as black as a black person in Brazil, just as black as a black person in the UK and in the United States, because ships took us everywhere. We're all black. Raphael, the ironic thing would be if you and Kamala did a DNA test and found out y'all were cousins. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. And have Henry Louis Gates come on our show to like break the news to you. Raphael, are you sitting down? Kamala is your cousin. I love Raphael. Raphael is so good for our show, and he knows I always just give him a hard time, but he is. And Raphael's super learned. And I think a lot of times he does this to like pull my chain too. So can I just play this little clip real quick? This is not Matthew McConaughey, because I didn't want to play anything to really shout out Lincoln. They didn't pay us. But this is an impersonation of Matthew McConaughey Drive. We're not going to play the whole thing, but let's just play a little bit of it, Kwesa. Because to me, this is like how his campaign ads for Texas governor will sound like.
Some people say you got to go forward to get backwards. I say sometimes you got to go sideways to figure out where you was. But I don't know. Look in the rear view mirror, look in the side view mirror, and you just kind of see where you've been. But if you look out the windshield, you can see where you're going.
All right, wait. Sorry, I can't take more. I'm telling you, he will be driving around that Lone Star State saying stupid stuff just like that. Matthew McConaughey, man, those Lincoln commercials had me they're disturbing. Do you like them?
I think they're trying to be deep and insightful and evoke a different emotion. I think they're also trying to speak to another generation, right? Lincolns were cars that were driven by older folk, right?
They still are.
Young folk don't drive Lincolns. And so I think he was trying to like bring a new demographic into being a part of Lincoln, and also because he did that movie, The Lincoln Lawyer. So I think that was the other piece that was attached to it.
You know what? I never made the connection to that. Now, that was a good movie, but I never made the connection that was nothing but a big Lincoln commercial.
Yeah, The Lincoln Lawyer. So he was in one of those old Lincolns too.
Yeah, he was.
My parents had one of those. So.
Yeah, exactly. Which is probably why you'll never, nobody. I mean, come on, anybody buying Lincolns anymore. I mean, you drive one if you. Yeah, I did too. Emphasis on used to. So, all right, everybody wants to get identity politics. Look, I'm just saying, Kamala's black, The Rock is black, and and Trump has basically devalued the presidency pretty much forever, and it was entitled to the fact that a lot of folk just thought because a black man had it, anybody can have it. I mean, look, folks, the job is not that simple. So, Megyn Kelly. Well, I guess maybe we have time enough for one last thing here. So Megyn Kelly is formerly of Fox, formerly of NBC. She left there too. So MSNBC really pissed off a lot of people by bringing her in from Fox and kind of bumped Joy Reid and some of the other black women down a notch to like make room for the great Megyn Kelly, who had been beating them up for years. And then she gets there and burns them and leaves as well. So she got her own podcast now. But she apparently is upset about a letter that's going around in her super, super duper left-leaning liberal school that she pays tuition to for her 3 children, $56,000 a year, because the parents there are, in their attempt to being woke and white allies, are actually examining things like their privilege. And I mean, there ain't nobody got white privilege than white folk who can send kids to school for $56K a year and not worry about it. In New York, that's kind of privileged. And so they're passing around a article among the parent group by Naila, I can't think of her last name, sorry, but an activist who makes some real provocative statements. One of them is that, you know, part of the way the culture is, the society is, I haven't had a chance to read it all, but some of the excerpts that come out, I get why a Megyn Kelly would misunderstand it. The statement is that, you know, white schools are raising future killer cops because we're not challenging, you know, within the schools, you know, white children to examine privilege, to examine the issue of race, to push back on, you know, the notions that they're gaining. A lot of what we just talked about with Trump, right? I mean, the idea, the reason that it's so easy for white people, the half that voted for him in this country, to believe that Detroit cheated, Philly cheated, Atlanta cheated, all of these black cities cheated, is because of these racialized tropes about black people. Right. And so the letter says, you got to push if we're going to change this. And she says, oh, there are no future killer cops in my kid's school. Well, first of all, there are probably no cops in your kid's school at 56K. I would hope not, unless they're going to be like the chief, right? I mean, it's like your school is preparing kids to go on and, you know, whatever. And I'm not knocking cops, but I'm just simply saying that you probably don't really have that worry. It's a statement, though, that is pretty much true, because every killer cop you know went to school somewhere.
Well, let's just look at it. It's not just the killer cops. It's also the killer prosecutors. It's the killer judges. It's the, you know, that's all those folk, right, that are part of the system as well. It's the killer district attorneys. You know, it's the killer mayors that don't do anything about it and just blame folk for it. It's the killer presidents that are out there. So, you know, it's not just the cops that make that system up. There's a whole lot of folk that work in that system as well. It's the killer wardens. It's the killer corrections officers. It's everybody that's all in that mix.
And where did they go to school? They went to a school. That didn't, right. I mean, and that's the only point that the author of that article is, the author of the paper that parents are floating around. Now, she makes, again, some statements. Some of the ones I don't necessarily subscribe to, but I get her general premise, which is that in American society, we are all awash in this system.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that it is not going to change itself on its own. You know, we talked yesterday, there's a long hearing. We don't have time now because we're at the end of the show, but a long hearing on police reform and the FOP contract and all of these kind of things. Those things are important steps, but until we address the elephant in the room and really deal with dismantling racist notions and superiority and inferiority within individuals, you're not going to be able to legislate your way out of all of these things. I rest my case, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Much obliged. We should just say that people need to learn to be critical, self-critical, and I think that's a thing that's very absent from American society. So hopefully they'll learn how to do that, and they will examine themselves and grow as a result of it. All right. Well, listen, we are out of time. Appreciate y'all. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. to bring you the latest in news happenings around Philadelphia and, of course, our opinions. Shout out to Koisa for holding down the boards for us. And the Reverend Dr. Mark Kelly Tyler, appreciate you. For everybody that's on Facebook today, thank you all for checking in. And we'll be back again tomorrow morning. Listen, go out, change the damn world, because if you don't, nobody else will. Peace.
A bullet in my gun.